how did Animal Aid get created? Well, in one sense, it started probably with a love of India. And if I were to jump back, it's probably me at 19 years old in 1961 arriving in Mumbai, and it's over 50 years ago. And I fell in love with this country, and I always tried to figure out ways to come back. And I did a couple of times, and then I finally met a lady to come back with before we had our baby, and we came for a week, and we still did not get to this part of India, but slowly we were working in Australia. We were born in America, and we're American citizens. We came. I did not even choose Udaipur. Erica found it with a friend. They did a 2-day holiday, saw that it was pretty. Then we had our baby. We returned to America, and we came, and we said, when she was like 4 or 5 years old, we started doing holiday trips here. We said, this is not too big a city, not too small, so we decided to live in Udaipur. No one would rescue the street animal. So we thought, if we're going to live in this city, then we don't want to see an injured animal every day that we're helpless. So we said, maybe this is for us. Mainly is the general media of the world have increased, and in that process, we have realized that we didn't know how much human healing would take place with Animal Aid. But we've come to realize that Animal Aid is here as its main goal to help the animals, but every volunteer and all of our staff and me, we are healed by our process of healing these animals. We had an English couple that came for a year trip to travel all over Asia, and I don't know, I feel sometimes sorry for them, but not really. Their first week they spent here, and a year later they left. They never got on their trip. And they talked about it when together, that while they were cleaning and shampooing, when is our trip ever going to start, you know? And they never left. They were at Animal Aid for an entire, and they've returned again, and they're not well-to-do people. They send $10, $15, $20 every month on PayPal as a contribution. Every call, we get 15 to 25 calls a day, and they're all from Indians, all on the phone in Hindi saying, this donkey, this cow, this dog has been hurt. Would somebody please come and help? And when they participate, when they're involved, they see, their neighbors see what they're doing. They now believe that our white truck with the red lettering actually does come. And so we have over 20,000 people now in our database with phones that have been helpers of Animal Aid. Maybe start with saying, why do we need facilities? Because we have 250 to 300 animals. So we have to have the facilities, the tanks of water, the electricity, the rooms in bad weather, that these animals can be kept. Because it's easy when the weather is beautiful. But once you get a terrible cold wind in the winter, you can lose your animals for hypothermia, that it will get so cold at a desert, you know, in the desert in the morning. And if you have young animals, injured animals must be kept warm. So we have facilities for storage of food, facilities to hold the donkeys, to hold the cows, to hold the dogs that have mange, to hold the dogs that are just puppies but might need a warmer room at night, to hold the facilities of 80 cages that will hold the dogs that have been rescued that are going to be returned to the street. We find that the best paths for support to Animal Aid have interestingly grown with technology. Now, when we started, there was like Animal Aid, there was maybe only one computer shop in Udaipur. And very few Indians held hand phones. Well, these tools are magnificent help and ways of support for an Animal Aid, both at the level of the street in Udaipur, but also at the level of Google was not going when we started. Well, a Google search now has anyone getting ready to come to India or traveling in India and quickly do a Google search for Rajasthan and say an Animal Aid comes up. So they find Animal Aid. A rescue system is the core of our whole program here at Animal Aid, in the sense that everything, from the first days we were here, it was about rescue. Once we soon realized that as soon as we keep an animal, a blind dog, a donkey that's hurt, we're actually then in a sanctuary situation, and it's not because we can't return them to the city. But the principle of animal aid is to identify every dog. When we pick them up, we put them on a card. We identify exactly where they came from in the city, who's the phone number of the person that called, and when the animal is well, we return them to that spot. So we had the good fortune of getting these two beautiful trucks that donors made here, and these are in Hindi, you see. This is actually the animal aid, and these are our numbers, and now actually they are famous in the city. 12, 13 years of these white vehicles with the red lettering have made quite an impression, and they were donated by, you see over here, the Brock family. I met the son of Mrs. Brock. He was on a camel and going to a wealthy hotel in the area, and he said he came then and visited the shelter, and then I gave 21 emails back and forth in the next 2 months, and his family sent a check of $12,000, so we got our first truck, and we were then at an ambulance. We send out flyers. We have had hundreds of flyers on the street that we give to people on corners, and give them in shops, saying, call whenever you see an injury. If you see cruelty, call us here. So these people call, and then we go into the city to get these animals. And it is actually somewhat dangerous. It takes a lot of training. No one was trained here on how to catch a dog. This is not work that was ever done in this part of India. So it was very important to train our workers, and train them really, because sometimes young boys try to be brave and show off. And we don't want a show-off will get hurt in this business. A show-off will climb a tree and a branch will break. A show-off will get electrocuted. A show-off will get stuck in a gutter going in for a dog. So we tell them the first principle is your safety. We never want you to rescue a dog if you are afraid or concerned or have a problem. But once you are everything set and you work as a team, then go ahead. And the cows and the big donkeys are the most difficult, because we can get cows up to 800,000 pounds, you know, and they're huge. And some of them, they can go very slowly, and they look like they're gentle, but they can give a ferocious kick. And usually one of our workers in the cab is not strong enough to manage this. So we have to get ropes. And sometimes we've had to get 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the city who will help us. We've learned that you have to do it at a certain time of day. It could be dangerous. If a bull starts to run and there's a crowd, we could have a terrible accident, you know. And then we've been here now 5 years, and we've rescued over 35,000 animals during this period. We have a veterinarian doctor. We have 4 veterinarian compounders, which are nurses, and overall 35 staff. That means washing, and we serve dal and rice and all the food and the cleaning and the sweeping, how to catch a dog, how to handle a dog. All these things we did not know. Jimmy Superfly made an enormous impact on animal aid over a period of about 8 months. He's a big sort of reddish dog that we still have with us, and everybody loves him. At first, he had no name. Then he became Jimmy, and then someone told one of our workers there was an American lightweight boxer whose name was Jimmy Superfly. And someone said, why don't we call our dog Jimmy Superfly? And Jimmy was on his side in our area for crippled dogs, where both their legs, or back legs, are usually crippled. And he'd had a terrible wound from a paw all the way up to his shoulder that it was so sensitive, and nerves had been open. Also, along with his paralyzed back legs and this leg, we could hardly treat him. Jimmy was on the ground for 4 months, only lifting his head for like 2 or 3 inches. I had 2 or 3 very nice volunteers, one crying, saying, please, why don't you euthanize? Why don't you put to sleep, Jimmy? This is too much. And I said, I'm really listening to you, and no one lives with this more than I do. But Jimmy's fur is still good. He's still eating. He's still looking at me. You look and you're seeing and you're sorry for his condition, as I am, but I don't see him giving up yet. I see him, we have to work harder, and I appreciate your concern. So we started with a series of 4 volunteers who happened to be coming, one for 10 days, 15 days, And when each volunteer was here, we said, let's get Jimmy out and pick him up and get his front 2 legs down, and we'll put a towel behind him and just start to move him forward and get those front legs strong. So this first volunteer did it for 10 days. Then another one came, then took over that work. And still he was not walking, but then it got to the point that all 4 legs he was standing and just trembling like this. And then another one came, and another one came finally and worked with him and got him going every day. And I was out right here behind me where I am right now, and we had Jimmy standing there, and he just looked up with this like big smile and took off. And I was just in tears. It changed my idea of what hope is. And it changed my view of don't be quick with the life of any other creature. Give everyone a chance. That Jimmy came good, and he just needed time. He needed nerves to heal, to get ready. And yes, for our sympathy and our pity sometimes, we want to put an animal down or do something because we're feeling badly. But Jimmy came good, and Jimmy is running around here. He looks like a drunken sailor sometimes, how he's going, but he's a great dog, and I'm happy that it worked, and he's been a model for how we should be patient to every other animal. So there's huge cities of 100,000 and million populations that have no service. My dream for the future of Animal Aid is not to get bigger and bigger and bigger in Udaipur, but to be a service that we call on those cities and say, do you want help? We will write a contract with you to service your desire to help, and we will not charge you anything. We'll help you hire a veterinarian. We'll help you understand, because we've made all the mistakes on how to build a kennel. What size, what do you do with the urine, how do you treat pollution, what paints do you use, what medicines are cheaper, how do you write grants? We will do these things and help you if you want to get started in your city.